So, this is episode 1, and I'm inviting you to come along with me on a journey. And as cheesy as that sounds, it is true. We're going to be creating something special. I call it Building Beautiful Beats. It's episode 1, and you might think that episode 1 was the time for introductions, but I'm actually going to leave all that out. I'm going to allow that to filter in slowly but surely as we go on this journey. But if you clicked on this video, you're interested in beats or music, or watching a composer create music, or watching a beat maker make beats. It's one of any of those. And as such, that's what you're going to get. We're on this journey. I'm building a project. I'm putting a project together. I don't quite know what the project is, but I know the direction I want the project to go in. And this project is based on the idea of combining my skills as a composer, composing, sheet music, etc., this kind of thing, for, I don't know, string quartet, solo piano, even orchestra, with my love and also history, love for and history with making beats. And I'm trying to see what can we do here. I used to compose experimental music. Used to is weird because I'm kind of always experimenting in one way or another, but I will be doing some experimental beats. So maybe no used to. I compose experimental music. It's beats because I'm going to be using predominantly MIDI in a DAW to realize it, and I'm working within the overall meta genre of Amapiano. Now, Amapiano is supposedly a subgenre of EDM, etc. But genres are weird things because you'd be correct in calling it a subgenre of EDM, or house or Afro house. But as you can see, we just keep going. So EDM house, Afro house, Amapiano, but then within Amapiano, there's the private school, skicha, blah, blah, blah. So I'm thinking of Amapiano as a meta-genre, precisely because there are big differences between it and the rest of the EDM family that make it quite a lot more distinct, which is interesting. It's definitely part of the family, that's for sure. It is a form of EDM. So, yeah, whatever. Too much talking. Let's get straight into it. Here is my Logic screen. I'm not starting in Logic. This is one of the things I guess I want to introduce along with myself and my process. That's me from the camera angle, which is weird. I'm going to start in this thing called Sibelius, and Sibelius is a software that basically allows you to, it's the Microsoft Word of writing music on paper with what's called manuscript paper with the 5-line staff. And it's pretty cool. There's many others out there, MuseScore, etc. I use Sibelius, grew up using Sibelius, grew up as educated. I was already an adult when I was introduced to the great Sib, not the composer. Yeah, so we'll be using Sibelius. And what I like to do, I think of writing music in notation as a kind of code. How now with AI and stuff, there's all these no-code options which are cool. But coders can still, at present, coders can still do more, through code than you can do through prompting, which is what AI is all about. So what am I trying to say? Yeah, I think of writing music notation as sort of like code. And why I say that is because, at least for me, many other people who know how to write and read music might have different opinions. I feel like I can understand the layout and the structure and the figures better in notation because, across the different instruments, they're all represented in the same way, which is the notation. Whereas if you're in a DAW, sometimes you're using a loop station or a loop machine or a pattern in FL, or if it's in MIDI, fair enough, but then you have to go into the MIDI file to kind of like look at exactly what you've written there, whereas it's easier to see that kind of detail in notation. So that's me, and I also find that it's easier to work with the patterns and the structures to create some interesting stuff. Anyway, I'm doing some more talking, and I want to start doing some creating. So what's this creating thing we're going to be doing right now? Hang on, seeing that I'm not using this to hover, I might as well full blast full screen these windows. So instruments. I'm going to get 2 bongos in there. Do I want bongos? No, I don't want bongos. I want a shaker. Because shaker is the fundamental instrument in Amapiano. The fundamental instrument in Amapiano. Let's leave the bongos in. I'm a private school guy, just by the way. At a later stage we will start to incorporate more of the, let's call it the high energy piano, but I'm a big deep house fan, and private school very much derived from that line. Electric piano, overdriven, and then contrabass, which is really cool. Why do I like contrabass? Because actually, let's use jazz so that it gives us, at least it should give us, a plucked bass. There's our bass, acoustic bass. Okay, we're ready. And there's our score going to panoramic view. And for those of you who know DAWs, for those of you who know score or Sibelius, you know what's going on. For those of you who are familiar with DAWs, just think of this as like the arrangement window. And again, we can just hoy the music into the arrangement window and develop it like that, rather than working separately in a loop pattern and then structuring the loop pattern, etc. and so forth. I think what I'm looking for is something like this. There we go. That's the tempo. That's average tempo of piano. All right, so I think we are more or less, just save the file. Episode 1. We're finally here. Let's be fancy and make it Roman numerals. Alrighty, so I like to leave a bar open here because this first bar can be complicated to work with. What am I going to do now? I'm going to create a loop, open loop. I want this to be a 4-bar loop, and I'm going to hoy our shaker here. Let's repeat that all 4 times. Yeah, so I said it earlier that piano, throughout the course of this journey, I'm going to have some other videos where I explain some music theory stuff. So in pop music theory, principles of arrangement. There's this thing called the foundation. Well, there's 5 of them. So there's the foundation, there's the rhythm, there's the pad, which is basically harmony chords. Then there's the lead, which is melody line, solo, singer, vocals. And then there's fills, which is like all the little fancy jelly tots on top of your ice cream from the pantry. But the and most by the way, just like pretty much all forms of pop music use that arrangement structure. So the foundation is basically the stuff that gives you the main meter, and then the character of that meter. Sometimes you think of it as this, that gives us the main sort of groove, and you can have that in the kick and the snare and the bass working together. Well, piano is very interesting. This is why I think of it as sort of separate, even though it's part of the family. EDM went very easy on making things super different because you always had a kick on every single beat, and you always had a snare on 2 and 4, or a clap, or very regularly, like 90% of the time, regularly. And then you would always have hi-hats on the backbeats of every beat as the primary rhythmic feature. So that was your foundation. Do ta is your foundation. Maybe I should illustrate. No, I'm not going to. I'm too lazy. I'll do it some other time. Whereas now piano has come along, and you know, through various morphings of Afro house, the shaker has become the primary rhythmic component. And there's normally a synth on the backbeat where the hi-hat used to be. But the key thing here is that the shaker is not just the primary rhythmic element. It actually is a kind of a translucent lattice upon which all the other elements hang. And right now I'll show you what I mean by that, which is pretty cool, about the genre. And so in a sense, it's rhythm and foundation, not all foundation because it's joined with a log drum, and sometimes a kick and a snare. Especially in a lot of private school, they keep that deep stuff. But in the other forms, you get a lot of that shaker becomes a key aspect of the genre. And so my approach to making piano has always been, partly as a distinguishing factor, is to play around with the shaker and not just do that. How can I say? Like, I like to find ways to be different, you know, and playing around with what my shaker can do is one of my distinct approaches. So let's begin here, and you know, we have the traditional shaker sound, which I'm going to create like this, and then I actually need to delete all of this yet again. And this comes from, I don't have a shaker here with me. You might see that I have a wood block here with me. Anyway, I should actually get wood block onto this. Wood block is not that kind of instrument. Where is my wood block? It is 2 words. There. You know what? We're gonna can the bongos for now. Let's focus on did not can the bongos. Okay. So when you have a shaker, like an egg shaker, there's a way of playing it where you kind of move it forward and backwards, and it creates this. For those of you who know the rhythm syllables, it's like a taffa tiffy, taffa tiffy, taffa tiffy, taffa tiffy. It sounds a lot like this. It's a very kind of Latin way of playing shaker. So that basically becomes like a core aspect of how Amapiano works. I like to, I said, play games with this. So I like to create different kinds of rhythms based on systems. So we're gonna go like this. 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 1, 3, 1, and let's see what happens. So we have, so as you can see, they're all 4, 4, 4, 4. So 3, and when I say 2, I mean like keeping this dynamic structure. Actually, just gonna hide all of this because it's probably just causing problems. Again, this is probably the easiest way to do it. And then we do this. So we have the MIDI sound representation. The correct way to do it would be to create this little sign here. It's called an accent, but you know, the whole idea is to transfer this eventually to Sibelius, but you never know. Maybe some people want to play this live and then I have to go back and put the accents in. So, this is probably a very frustrating watch right now for you guys. I'm really sorry. I'm just going to do this properly. There we go. But look, this is episode 1, and for whatever reason you're interested in watching me make music, and if there's 0 views, especially at this point, then I'm wrong about that. But if even one of you is watching, hopefully this is going to be really great and epic, which it is. It's just we need to get through these teething problems. So 3, 2. What do I mean by 2? I could tie them up like that. So this is 3 individual ones, and then 1 is held for 2. So I could tie them up like that, but that's going to be a nightmare to read. So I'm just going to silence that one. Yeah. So 3, and then a silence for 2. And then 3, and then a silence for 2. And then 3, and then silence for 2. I am confused. There you go. So this sounds like, just this bar sounds like this. So 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3. Do that again. And then, so 3, 2, 3, 2, 3, 2. I want to go 3, 2, and then let's go 1, 1. As you can see, I'm making this up as we go along. 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. So because it's percussive, I can just make that. I guess I could. No, this is irresolvable. This I could have just done this. Easier to read. 2, and this working 1, 1, and then 2, 1, 2, 1. 2, 1, 2, 1, and then okay, so there we have a pattern repeat, and this is what we're going to do. We're just really going to just do this. You see all of that? What's that? Just over a bar? It's what I call an odd bar. Okay, let's just do this. Let's repeat that. Right. So let's see how this sounds. And then I like to do these weird kind of metronomic counter thingy mabobs. Like this. So let's see how this sounds. Let's do that. So if I was using the real wood block, and this really is just a floss to show that I know what I'm composing for. So something like that. But I want a lot more contrast. That's why I went for let's do that. So I'm creating a kind of internal meter here of, so this becomes a bit of a polymeter. So this is obviously in 4 bar, this is 4 bar, 4 bar, general signature is 4/4, but here I'm creating a kind of what we call this, either 6/4 or 3/2. Let's call it 6/4, even though I'm thinking of it 3/2, because if it's 6/4 then it's actually a polymeter, and if it's 3/2 you might argue that it's a polyrhythm. Anyway, point is this is going to loop in threes. So soft, loud, loud, soft, loud, loud. And then it basically breaks the rhythm at the end. Because we only have one bar left. So yeah, and I really enjoy making beats around weird kind of things like this. And then yeah, here's the part where many of you are waiting, because you love chords. Hey, chords. First things first, let's pick a mode. C minor, C Dorian. C Dorian mixes what? B flat major. Okay, let's go C Dorian. Okay, what do I want? So the 25 minutes that I want these videos to be, because this episode 1 will be a bit longer. Let's go. Let's create the chord progression, and once we've created the chord progression, that'll be episode 1. Because it's interesting that we did kind of, after 25 minutes, we're done with the initial shaker and woodblock rhythmic pattern, but I guess I want to advertise that this is going to be a little bit more interesting than just watching me faff. C Dorian. C Dorian. What does C Dorian hold for us? Let's just remind ourselves. Let's just be lazy and use a key signature. B flat major. C Dorian. Okay, so Dorian emphasizes the scale degree 6. So I'm on chord 1. Chord 4 has scale degree 6. Chord 6 has scale degree 6. But avoid the one that's diminished. That would be chord 6. So let's avoid chord 6. Chord 2. Yeah, 2, 4, 6. Okay, C Dorian. So let's go 1, 4. So we go 4, 1. What's 4? C, F. I've generally found through pre-experimentation that in order to get the kind of sound I want, we have to go kind of deep. So those of you who like these super sultry chords, so this, like we're not going to go 4 chord progressions for now. At least I don't think so. And who knows where the inspiration takes us. I'm thinking we're going 3 chord progressions. So let's try 4, 1, and 2 or something. Or 2, 4, 1. I don't know. So 2 would be D. Because we're using jazzy chords, I'm just going to load the 7th as a prerequisite. So this sounds like this. That does not sound good at all. So, okay, we're gonna work from chord 1 chord. That's kind of like tends to like just really get into the whole deep vibe. See, I like that kind of thing. It reminds me of. For those of you who remember that track, that probably means you're certainly in your 30s. Okay. So I accidentally did something I didn't realize there. So let's see this. This is CG, that's a C. I created that as a sus. This was supposed to be a 7th, but it's a 6th. So it's actually a kind of A minor chord over C. Anyway. How about keep left hand really quiet? This way around. I feel like the B's are kind of like a part 2, so this is. And then. Anyway, I liked it a lot. And that very much is the heart of the beat. And we've done it. We've created the heart of the beat in, I guess, just about 30 minutes. Yeah, that's episode 1. That was really cool. I can't wait to see you in episode 2. To get things going, I might just start something, I'll continue with this in episode 2. Simply because I want there to be momentum building, if that makes sense. I thought I would start a bunch of beats, but if the start is going to be like today, where it's just like lots and lots of me going haywire, then I think we should just leave it at that, at the approach we have right now, which is let's build on this. So see you in episode 2.